Hello and welcome to Zirkzank Says. Strong start, right? That's where you're wrong. This is a terrible start, but I'm gonna go on it anyway because I really want to get this episode sort of lay the groundworks for where I'm trying to come from with this series. To begin with, I felt like I would do Zirkzank Says as sort of like I'd just turn my webcam on and start talking, tell some stories, try and make some jokes. Doing improvisational comedy was fun for a while, and it still is fun, but then at some point I decided I'd rather just try and sort of like just speak into a camera, even if I'm the only one watching myself speak. I get more ideas by talking about ideas that I already have, and when I do try and talk about ideas, like for example in this format on YouTube, a lot of the ideas get changed because your brain, my brain, when I'm trying to explain something, ends up like losing a bunch of words or forgetting the point of what I was trying to say. You don't get a very coherent and fluid kind of motion to your thought process. So doing this is a good practice for that. And having said that, anyway, I'm going back to this little document that I made, which was the video ideas to talk about just humans, people, like us as a species and society and that sort of stuff. Things that humans do, because I think that's interesting as a human being, you know, like, yeah. So I was saying that some big issues, or at least some really interesting things that I would like to think about, is the combination of things. Like, for example, here I've put down astronomy, rockets, robotics, technology. Where's AI on here? I meant to put AI on here because that's something that I was going to discuss. Well, like in the next few years, the next 5, 10, 20 years, a lot of mental stuff is going to happen, and that's the only way to describe it, really. Like, let's start over here with AI. This is just on Bing, but the default browser of Edge. I just put in AI. You have a read through some stuff here, watch some videos about AI, but basically AI is coming to a point where I don't even know what I was going to say about AI. I just put it in here because it links into the other two things I was going to talk about. Oh yeah, AI, as in artificial intelligence, as in not naturally occurring. So this can be kind of changed to a point where it's like, the better way to describe it would be like super intelligence. This is a book I read the first quarter of while I was really bored, sitting in a waiting room for multiple days where they kept making me wait. So this book I read the first quarter of, but is essentially the first quarter that I read, and presumably the next 75%, but whatever, it doesn't matter. This book was about superintelligence, paths, dangers, and strategies. So it explains to you what superintelligence is, how you could possibly achieve it, and the dangers of that, and the strategies involved around combating it, creating it, and all that sort of thing. It's a very good book on the topic of AI, and it touches upon different types of AI, which is different types of superintelligence. For example, one of them being AI, the others being, this is my hand I use, the enhanced human intelligence, biological, that's not human intelligence, computers, just purely computers, brain scanning, you get the idea. The other thing then is I'm not got it linked in here, but human to computer interfacing. So for example, you have a phone, a smartphone, it's got internet on it. You can answer basically any question you want about anything by checking a Wikipedia article, finding a video about it on YouTube, learning how to do it, and you can read all the news articles in the entire history of a certain subject, you know, on a phone. I can't do it with this hand. On a phone. But you're limited by the fact that you have to like tap it in with your finger, and you got to read the article. So then the next thing would be like getting a thing in your head, like you know, in the Matrix where they plug in that shit in. Possibly could be less intrusive than that. I would assume that most people, generally speaking, probably wouldn't want that even. But that's why I wanted to talk about social culture a lot, because you know, the things you think people wouldn't want, eventually they do. Like as soon as celebrities start using it, or as soon as one person uses it and it is proven to make their life better, then everyone wants to use it. So, you know, watch out for, you know, neocortical linking to your smartphone. Well, it wouldn't even be to your smartphone, because you wouldn't need the smartphone in the first place. You'd have all the insides of the smartphone, no screen for the smartphone, because that's being put directly into your brain. So that's the thought and the upcoming things. But on the very brink of things, we have technology like CRISPR or Cas9, which recently has just skyrocketed in the publicity and funding that it's been getting, which is essentially a gene editing technique that is proven to be the most straightforward and practical way that we've had ever. I want to say ever, because I haven't done that much research into it, but I know that it's very good, and it's easy enough that when you search CRISPR, you get fucking CRISPR kit as the first result. Like, how often do you get like actual lab science stuff that you can just do at home? You know, I don't know at home, but the point is, CRISPR, watch out for this shit. It could mean everything changes. If there's another breakthrough in CRISPR, then everything that you think CRISPR can do will happen a lot sooner. And if there's no breakthrough in it, well, it's still going to progress and become progressively better slowly over time, maybe exponentially, maybe just gradually. But the point is, this can improve, and eventually we'll be able to genetically modify ourselves, our children, and humanity and every species in general just getting completely changed. A lot of people think that they would be against that, like, oh, I don't like that, it's not natural. But, you know, wait and see. You don't know what's going to happen yet. I personally think, you know, go for it. But that's, a lot of people are naysayers towards this kind of thing. Similarly towards artificial intelligence as well. And even going to Mars. People don't like going to Mars, people don't like renewable energy, people don't like gene editing, people don't like progress. But progress is probably going to happen because there are enough people who want it to happen, will make it happen. Then the naysayers look over it and say, yeah, I want genes that make me live to be 900 years old, or I want to go to Mars. Yeah, no. And speaking of Mars, that's a nice transition over to the next thing. It's pretty recent, not as recent as I wanted to do a video about it, but I wanted to talk about the, SpaceX has always been, their plan has always been to go to Mars, and they've always been saying, like, yeah, we're gonna do this in this year, in this time frame, and so on. The time frame gets changed around quite a lot, but recently Elon Musk did a talk specifically about this and saying, like, yes, this is it, we're doing it now, and as soon as we have the rockets built, we're gonna start well, I think after they've tested them, but after that point, every 18 months or every 26 months, can't remember, they're going to be sending, rockets, like a fleet of ships to Mars every time Mars does its orbital rotate, its orbit that it's in line with the closest distance to Earth. So the trip will take 80 days, the shortest time that they can do it in with what they're doing, with the rockets that they're doing. So every time that opportunity comes around, they'll be sending, I think he said like a fleet of ships. I don't know how many that's gonna be, but the current designed one can fit 100 up to 120 people in at a time, and that's the passenger sort of thing. So if you say like you're sending 10 ships at a time, 1,000 people going there at a time. But I don't know. I don't think that they're gonna send humans first. Like maybe send a bunch of supplies, just supplies, and then robots to build things. But by the looks of things, they want to just go straight to sending people and cargo in each of the rockets that they send. Like they send maybe like 10 rockets. Each one will have people and the stuff that they're gonna build with in. So I don't know. But the point is, this is coming up close. This is gonna start soon. Like I think it's 2020 or 2022. Point is, assuming that you don't die before then, that's close. That's around the corner. The same with like the potential breakthroughs and benefits of CRISPR technology. Gene editing and interplanetary travel happening at roughly the same time. AI having its big breakthroughs, like for example beating a human player in Go, and the self-learning AI that can, self-learning general purpose AI that can learn how to play games. Robotics reaching such an insane level of accessibility at this point, and precision and accuracy, like the stuff that the Boston Dynamics are doing. That's high-end stuff, but on the low-end stuff you've got all kinds of accessible things, like for example drones, like being able to just have like a drone that's about this big. Like you can buy this for about the same price as you can buy a meal in a restaurant. You can buy a little drone that you can control with a smartphone. You can do that. Control a drone that's the size of this with a smartphone across the world. That's what I mean when I say like people aren't really thinking about what we already have, and realizing it's actually insane, and it's about to get a hell of a lot more insane when the whole Mars thing kicks off and the whole gene editing kicks off. Like I don't know, man. I think these are the two biggest things on the doorstep. So like the study of matter in the general physics sense, and the learning more about the universe. Those are kind of like long-term ongoing things, just as astronomy and rocket technology are as well. But by this I meant what's upcoming, and robotics, peripherals technology, and genetics here, and evolution here, as in this would be genetics and evolution combined. It wouldn't be evolution in the sense that it's evolving to fit purpose, but more like, it's the evolution of a species. So I shouldn't have used this word here, but check the dictionary. It can mean more than just natural selection and or whatever. Breeding, can't remember what I meant by that, other than intercourse or selective breeding. Maybe that was a reference to eugenics, but I can't remember why. Oh yeah, no, how genetics are gonna trigger a form of pseudo-evolution, and then breeding just propagates that to the point where it becomes normal. A normality, that's what I want to say. Normal. And this is all right around the corner. Just like fucking virtual reality gaming. It's all happening very, very soon. And I feel like humans aren't that excited for it. Like, there's sort of just a general sense of like, people would rather talk about Hillary Clinton coughing and falling over, and Donald Trump having a funny looking haircut, or a cat stuck in a tree, or like you know, some ducks trying to cross a road. People generally don't care, and I think that's maybe a good thing, because it means that the scientists can just get down with things. Like the people who are specialized in their specific interests of development on this list can just get to it, and they won't have that much controversy about it. They won't have too many people complaining and saying, hey, don't do that, don't be a don't do that. Yeah, you know, like Christians, the people who usually oppose this, most religious groups actually would oppose altering genetics. Most people think it's ethically wrong, but I'd say for the most part they don't know what's happening, so they're not complaining about it, which is a good thing. Yeah, keep it out of the news. Don't let people ruin it. You know, don't let the small group of people ruin it for the rest of humanity. Same with like going to Mars. I think a lot of people I talk to even say, a lot of people I know think that it's great that this is happening. A lot of people are skeptical, and a lot of people say the bullshit like, why are we going to Mars? Why don't we fix the problems that we have here first? So they obviously don't understand that going to Mars ends up solving problems that we do have here, but also it isn't just all humans go to Mars, it's some humans go to Mars, so that then we have humans on Mars and humans on Earth, and then you have an interplanetary species, which can only be a good thing. Increase our chances of survival if anything happens to Earth, or if anything happens to Mars. While humans are on Mars, you've still got Earth. So you know, that's important, I think. In addition to the fact that scientific research and technological developments that happen on Mars can then be also translated to be used on Earth, usually. Like, if someone on Mars discovers something interesting that they wouldn't have discovered on Earth, that could then change the lives of everyone on Earth in a good way. So you never know. Plus the entertainment industry on Mars will be fucking insane. Like, I have friends who are quite into wrestling, and I think that having the first Mars wrestling scene would be awesome. Like, people who are training on Earth, or people who are training in a space station that's like got its fucking centrifugal force on like increased gravity. So you've got like Earth's gravity, you increase it to something higher than Earth gravity in the centrifuge. They train there, like Goku from Dragon Ball, training at a higher gravity. Then they get off onto Mars. You know, they'll be like fucking hulking behemoths that they can just throw each other around the entire arena. You know, the ring won't be able to hold these madmen in, and I think that that can only be fun to watch. Sports on Mars, like imagine the Olympics on Mars. You know, think about it. That's the kind of thing that's going to drive interest, I think, for a lot of people. Oh, and I say that because it has like 33% gravity, about. I'm not sure exactly, but has less gravity than Earth. The point being that if you've lived on Earth and you can jump on Earth, you can jump a lot higher on Mars. You can lift on Earth, you can lift a lot more on Mars. But to maintain that, you would need to keep lifting quite heavy stuff just to stay strong. Otherwise, you go to Mars, stay there for a while, and then come back to Earth, you will be weak as fuck. So you expect that. But yeah, going to this then, I want to talk about this playlist of videos I watch. I say you should watch documentaries, and just a lot of documentaries. The problem I have with them is that they dumb things down to the point where the information in them is useless or just misleading. So watch a lot of documentaries about things, but if you watch a documentary, go afterwards to look onto a specific part of that subject knowledge by an actual scientist, professional, and read a Wikipedia article about it. But documentaries are a really good starting point if you want to increase your knowledge on science and progress. I've got here a lot of stuff that's to do with space, like dark matter, black holes, galaxies, nebulas, just everything to do with space phenomena. A lot of interviews with Elon Musk, because he has, just a lot of interesting things to say. So it's always worth watching, I think, stuff with Elon Musk. The channel Xyphrolenmir, they really simplify things, or they make things very concise without cutting out actual information. The visualizations that they use are obviously not accurate because it's cartoons, and some things you just cannot visualize at all because there's no way to comprehend them. But it's still a very good channel to watch. Almost every video that they have is amazing. More Elon Musk stuff. Looking at black holes, planet Earth, the last star in the universe, red dwarfs, explained 3 ways to destroy the universe. A lot of this stuff. Michio Kaku, this guy is a pretty good science communicator. He spent a lot of his time working in theoretical physics, and then I think he still does, but maybe towards the end of his career he became more of a science communicator than a science researcher, and so as a result he's done some pretty good videos and talks and books talking about science, which is very good and interesting. Computing, rockets. Bill Nye talking about SpaceX. SpaceX is the leading, I'd say the leading frontier of privatized space travel, space technology, and more of that can only be a good thing. People need to stop criticizing Jeff Bezos, saying that what he's trying to do is idiotic, because we need that competition. I know that the Blue Origin rockets aren't as good as the SpaceX ones. Everybody knows that. It's evident, it's clear, it's obvious. But you want competition because it drives progress and it drives innovation. So please bear that in mind. When you have multiple rocket companies, things will happen a lot faster and become a lot cheaper. This is a good thing in the long run. Vsauce, that's another good channel. A lot of his videos are on random subjects, just whatever the guy Michael feels like doing. But they have a lot of he's very good at doing research and then making a video about it that's interesting, and I can only recommend that stuff very much, lots. Veritasium, watch this YouTube channel, very good videos. That's all I can say, it's science. Veritasium, element of truth. He just says here, videos about science, education, and anything else I find interesting, because that's literally what it is. This guy's videos are always informative and always interesting. That's the point. A lot of this stuff is interesting. Vsauce, Xyphrolenmir, Veritasium, these videos, Michio Kaku, Elon Musk, Neil deGrasse Tyson. This is another guy who's primarily becoming more like a science communicator. Doing science communication is such an important thing in this day and age. I think people just don't understand how big things are. Headlines say, for example, the Large Hadron Collider, the particle accelerator. The newspapers were saying this was going to create a black hole and cause the end of humanity. They weren't talking about the fact that it was trying to test for to confirm the Higgs particle. They were saying it's going to cause a black hole. They weren't explaining. Oh, it's like, oh, maybe at the end of the article it said, no, actually, to prove the Higgs particle, like, and then people were like, what is that? I don't know what that is. I'm just going to go back to looking at pictures of cats on the internet. So, I don't know. Communication, letting people understand is such an important thing. Like, why is things important? Why things necessary? I hate that there are so many deleted videos in my playlist here. CGP Grey. I haven't watched many of this guy's videos, but the ones I've added in here, like humans need not apply, this is talking about towards the fact that machines can do a lot of the jobs that humans do now, and people get angry about that. But that's a good thing. Do you really want to be doing the job that you're doing? If you hate the job you're doing, or if you think your job is boring or could be done by a machine, it should be done by a machine, then that lets you do something else. That's only a good thing, if you can focus on what you want to do rather than what you're forced to do for money. So don't complain about that. TED Talks. You know, TED Talks are a little bit hit and miss. Everyone knows about the channel, but there are always informative stuff on TED Talks. Computer File. Now, this is a good channel. They talk about computers and computer stuff. It says it in the thing there, and that's it. If you want to know about computers, check this out. A lot of these YouTube videos do seem like maybe hard to get into, or maybe you only want to watch them if you're curious about them, but I do highly recommend it. Demis Hassabis, this guy with Google DeepMind, this guy knows a lot of stuff about AI, and he's basically with I'd say the leading team, or the leading research and development team of AI. DeepMind is possibly going to be the first group to advance AI, general purpose AI, to a point where it's kind of like the sci-fi version of AI. And I don't want to dumb it down to say that, but you know what I mean, like the tipping point of AI before it becomes a self-recursive learning thing that just exponentially surpasses human intelligence, like in a blink of an eye. They're going to be the ones who do it, most likely. Elon Musk, on the other hand, with his OpenAI thing, are trying to prevent that from happening, like trying to prevent one studio from having it by making OpenAI open. So yeah, I put something in here with South Park. I can't remember why. Maybe when I added it, I wasn't thinking. But Trey Parker and Matt Stone, as far as like their work ethic goes, that's pretty inspirational. And this is just a playlist called Inspiration and Information that I made on YouTube, of just videos I added to it. They're inspiring. Athene, a lot of his videos, you know, a lot of it's like, it's meant to be clickbait, and a lot of his videos are meant to be about like trolling and stuff, but he does do some very good philosophical videos, some very good psychology videos, some very good videos about neuroscience and social culture, and just the way people think and things that are wrong with humanity, and more importantly, what you can do to make a difference. That's why Athene's good. He talks about not just, oh, this needs to be changed, you know, let's wait for it to happen. He says, no, what you can do to make a difference. He's a very proactive guy, and everything he does is based around activism and doing stuff, making it happen. This video, I can't remember if it's the right one I'm thinking of. No, it's not, but this is just another one, The Singularity. Neil deGrasse Tyson and Ray Kurzweil. Ray Kurzweil's videos, or him in the videos and his books and his research, this guy's basically predicted everything that would happen for about 40, 50, 60 years. Not been wrong, really. So look out for what he says. He's talked about this stuff, you know, genetics, SpaceX, well, not SpaceX, space travel and Mars and stuff. I've been right about it. It's always worth watching. What happened before history? human origins. I'm assuming this is I added this, maybe it's probably about evolution and the growth and development of society, herds of people, leadership, that sort of thing. Richard Dawkins, obviously that was going to find its way into here somewhere. This guy's like he was a leading scientist, like his journals and then his books and then his media presence has been, you know, pretty controversial, mostly because he's criticizing religion a lot, but his actual subject knowledge is worth listening to. And the other Elon Musk interview, quite a few. How batteries work. Yeah, this is another thing. I wanted to know how batteries work, like, so I just Google it, go on YouTube, find a video that explains it, and I know. Oh, that's how batteries work. I want to learn more about this. Go on Wikipedia, check out the stuff that he said in the video, like the words that he used in the video afterwards, after watching it, look at the specifics of the video, go on Wikipedia, learn the history of it, the research things, the things that didn't work in researching battery technology, and what does work in more detail, why it works in more detail. Do that. Same with solar panels, how batteries and solar panels work. This is like the future of electricity, maybe, probably, definitely. You know, we've got the sun, got a lot of sun power coming from the sun. So solar panels, to get that power, good idea. What do you do with the power? Put it in batteries so that you can use it on other things. Another good idea. Solar panel power from the sun into batteries, free renewable energy forever. Well, not forever, but long enough that by the time it becomes a problem, we'll probably have a solution. Death from space, see, we'll probably have a solution by the time this happens, and if not, doesn't matter, we tried. Athene's videos, genetic engineering. Yeah, this is a video about CRISPR. 16-minute long video about CRISPR by Zirkzank. You know, as a naive guy and just a random idiot, I don't know anything about CRISPR, but I watched this video, now I think I know about it, and that's the kind of person that you want to be. You want to be someone who thinks they know what they're talking about, but as long as you can admit that you probably don't know anything about it, you know, it's still worth watching these videos to learn, just have some vague idea. Having a vague idea and being wrong is better than having no idea and being just fucking absolutely wrong. Because you sound like an idiot when you say, going to Mars is dumb, we need to fix the problems here first, that's dumb. When you say we shouldn't do genetic engineering, that's dumb. When you say GMOs are bad for you, that's dumb. When you say we should use fossil fuels, that's dumb. When you say solar panels are a bad idea, that's dumb. For example, you know, I can go on and on and on. There are a lot of dumb things that people say because they don't have any vague idea of how they work. So learn how they work and then stop being dumb. That's all I can say. Don't want to say it in a nice way, don't want to try and cushion it. You're dumb if you think that these things are incorrect. Limits of humanity. Pretty chilling stuff. Knowing that, you know, the other galaxies are moving away from us faster than we can, or faster than light. Like the distance between us is increasing faster than the speed of light, meaning that even if you were traveling at the speed of light, you couldn't get to them ever. So physically, the limits of humanity are essentially confined to the local group. Ray Kurzweil again. The Sargon of Akkad. He makes controversial videos, and some of them are very good. Some of them, you know, not worth watching, or just maybe not everyone's cup of tea, but there are good videos on this channel. Stefan Molyneux. Speaking of controversial videos, these two videos that he's done with Scott Adams and Stefan Molyneux make a really, really good pair of dudes talking. So these videos, even though they say they're about Donald Trump, he's the subject matter for not very much of these videos. a lot of the stuff they talk about is just so interesting, and if it's more like to do with like it's human psychology and societal responses, that kind of thing. Very much worth watching. Elon Musk again here, and how to eradicate one of our deadliest enemies, gene drive and malaria. This is another video basically about CRISPR, using CRISPR gene editing techniques to make mosquitoes immune to malaria, and then making this a dominant gene to the point where it can't be overwritten by other mosquitoes. So these mosquitoes breed with the existing mosquitoes, then you have a series of mosquitoes that cannot spread malaria, and then you effectively, technically, supposedly end malaria because of that. This is causing controversy though, obviously, because if you just edit an entire species, an entire insect, every insect of this type, the mosquito, what does that do to the world? You know, people say that once you do that, there's no going back. Once you've edited genes, you can't go back to say, oh, let's undo this. There is no real Control Z, or maybe there is technically with that. You just put malaria producing mosquitoes back into the thing, but you probably wouldn't want to do that once you've done it, if it ends up being a good thing. But we don't know, that's the thing. The point is, once you've done gene editing on one species, why do you say, oh, we can't do it to humans, or we can't do it to this species? The point is, you can, and you will. I think that's going to happen regardless of whether people want it to or not. You know, regardless of whether people are socially open to it. Like, people wouldn't have been open to the idea of people weren't open to the idea of heart surgery when it started, or the idea of IVF. That's the example that gets thrown around a lot in this particular area. People were against it until they saw that it worked and it saved lives, or created lives, and then like, oh, that's a good thing, maybe I don't care, let's do it. You know, people wanted it once they saw that it was good. So once you see that gene editing is good, people will want it. They want it more than they don't want it. So just have to see. But even if that doesn't happen at like that kind of pace, you know, with the simplicity of CRISPR, there'll be definitely some people doing it illegally somewhere, on either, you know, experimental hosts or themselves, or basically they'll be doing something nefarious, I don't know. They'll be doing something pretty fucking spooky, and people won't like that, but it will have happened against the thing. Like, we can't control what happens in China, and China's plowing ahead with this, so, you know, the same with like the Nazis in the Second World War. They were gene editing, they didn't have any real success, but what I'm getting at is that it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. If it can happen, it will happen, and if it becomes this easy to do for many people, it will happen. So you don't have to say like, well, the government won't let that happen, because it's gonna fucking happen. So just, you know, get ready to deal with it. Same with AI. That's why we need like open AI. Going to Mars as well. I don't know. There's too much stuff to say. But the point is, it's all happening very fast. We're on the verge of the next technological revolution. So let's hope that we can get some CRISPR gene editing into ourselves as living organisms that are fully functioning already. Get ourselves some of that lobster DNA, so that we can live forever without getting cancer. You know, get our cells to not die, so we won't, but not in a cancerous way. That'd be good. That'd be great. Cure cancer, simultaneously give people immortality. I feel like those are probably quite linked, because cancer is immortal, but fucking hell, cancer is mortal. But if you used that the correct way, we can become immortal. So you fix the bad cancer, make it so that human cells are good, then you don't age. When I say immortal, I mean you not age, because of course you wouldn't be immortal if you got killed. You'd still die. Or if someone chopped your arm off, you'd still lose your arm, and potentially it wouldn't heal because you know, your cells, I don't know. But yeah, we're getting to that point. I say it's like, it's close. You and me could both end up living 1,000 years extra and exploring all the planets in our solar system. By that point, in the next 1,000 years, could even go beyond our solar system, and it's very likely that we will within the next 1,000 years, assuming humanity doesn't die, of course. You know, all of this assumes that we don't die. I'm very skeptical people who think that we will kill ourselves, but assuming we don't, there's a lot of good stuff to come. Yeah, and this video is 40 minutes long, so I'm going to end it here. If you enjoyed it, or if you didn't like it, I'd like you to still subscribe and like it, because if you sat through a 40-minute video, you might as well, you know, add it to your favorites, subscribe and like and comment and do anything to help, because we humans and stuff, it's good, man. It's good.